It is recording, and it is, well, give me 1 second to do one more thing so that it goes live. Go live. All right, I'm going to start letting people in. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to our Sukkah, and welcome Lucy to our Sukkah. You can see she's got a great backdrop back there, ready to go with her campaign sign, which is cool. Wait, aren't you? Yeah, you're on that picture right behind there too. So there's,
yes, of course.
So we're just going to give everybody a chance to come on and to join us. This is the second night. Now we have 2 more nights after tonight. I do know, by the way, that the debates are going on tomorrow. So we had a little bit of a challenge. Suzette is going to be here tomorrow, but there's also the debate. So we're going to kind of truncate that, unfortunately, so that everybody can also watch the debate. But we had to kind of do it during Sukkot. We only could do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So anyways, and we wanted to give everybody a fair shot, but she was okay with having a shorter time. So I don't know what to tell you. I definitely want people to watch the debates, but you can also, of course, we also can tape those, or you can watch these on tape too, because these are being taped. They're going to be up on Facebook. They'll also be up on our YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see them. So I want to give everybody a chance to get comfortable. Again, we welcome everybody virtually into our Sukkah. We especially welcome our special candidate, our guest for tonight, Lucy Volotzky. And as you can hear by that last name, it sounds like kind of an Ashkenazi Jewish name. I know the answer to this, Lucy, but why don't you tell people a little bit about your background and why you're not uncomfortable in a Sukkah?
Oh, thank you very much for having me tonight. My name is Lucy Volotzky. Yeah, to define the last name of Volotzky, my husband, family, they were from Poland, moved in 1930 to Israel. And of course, my husband's from Israel, living in California since 1976, I believe. Yes, again, my name is Lucy Volotzky. I'm running for State Assembly District 38. I'm married with a beautiful Jewish man. I have 4 beautiful children, and I'm a grandma with 2 grandchildren, and 1 on the way by December 17. And I'm looking forward for this beautiful child coming to the world. I have 2 children in law enforcement and 2 involved with our business, been in business for 35 years. We started in the indoor swap meet in the valley. And of course, with times, we end up to have some front stores, up to 5 stores at one time. And of course, now we continue our journey with the business. And now I decided to run for office.
Well, and I actually met you for the first time, Lucy. I met you at the Purim Carnival. You came out. I was very appreciative of the fact that you came out to take some time out to be with us at the Purim Carnival to get to meet the Jewish community. Your district obviously goes into the San Fernando Valley where you live and out to Simi. But obviously, Santa Clarita is an area that you have spent a lot of time with over these last few months. But of course, interesting months because of COVID and having to deal with that. But what motivated you in the first place to enter into this race for assembly?
Well, the last few decades, California has become unfriendly to do business with, high tax and regulations. And also the fear what will happen to our next generation. Our children, they don't have a voice. I feel like the state, is taking too much right, how and what to do with our children. And it's one of the biggest reasons I decided to run for office. Of course, like I said, business is the backbone of the economy, and our children is our future. Then this is a big things for me. It's one of the reasons.
And I assume that your experience as a business owner had a big deal to do with that, as somebody who's actually tried to run a business in California over these last decades.
Yes, I would like to implement something. Coming from a big family, of 10 children, I have 8 brothers and 1 sister. I was self-sufficient on my own, not needed my parents to provide monetarily anything at 11 years old. That's brought me a lot to do with find solutions at a very young age. And of course, my husband and I have a business since for 35 years. I know, and we all know how to balance a checkbook. It's very, what everything's happening also with the business. And the most difficult thing also, like I'm coming back a lot with our children education. Having 4 children, it was a very difficult task a certain time, but I knew perfectly how to adapt to make a difference to my children in a public school. And the passion of the success of my children, I was able to manage the school system to provide them their needs, what they really needed. Then I think my power really is beyond the children education, and especially also as far as being in business for 35 years.
And you also, I mean, obviously there's, you have an accent, we know that you're an immigrant to this country. That also gives you an interesting experience that you bring to your campaign.
Oh, definitely, yes. Well, I'm from Canada. I'm French Canadian. But I always says I'm an American with an accent, and very proud of it. I'm proud to be an American. I choose to be here, and it's such a pleasure to salute our flag and to have so many ethic. But since I came here, I was speaking, by the way, just one language, French, and very hardly any English. And right now I spoke 4 languages, a little bit in Hebrew also. I understand I can manage that. Then you can see how the possibility when you go to another country, how that can open the door if you really want to put your time to it and learning.
Well, you are probably one of the, we met Kip yesterday, who's actually is Jewish, but you probably speak as much Hebrew or more Hebrew than anybody who's ever run for office locally at the state level locally. So you do have that other language with Hebrew too, as you mentioned. And you've been to Israel, I know, many times too, right?
Oh, yeah, many times. And I miss it not to go, with this COVID, they kind of stopped us to do a lot of different things, what we love to do. By the way, my mom just passed away a couple of weeks ago, and I couldn't even go to Canada because I had to be in quarantine. It's a very difficult task, what's happening right now with this COVID. But
I meant to say, I know how hard it is for you to campaign in the midst of, again, this is the first time we've seen each other since your mother passed away. I'm very sorry for her loss, but she seemed to have lived a very long life, 97, yeah, almost a century of life. So
yeah, 95 years old, definitely. Until the end, she was everything with herself, her mind, walking. Really, she just the last 2 months, like in her life, it just went fairly rapidly, but it's a beauty, 95 years old of life.
But I'm very sorry you didn't get to visit with her and spend these last days with her. And that is another example of what we've lost during this COVID period. Not just people who died of COVID, but people who died and then didn't get to have family nearby because of COVID. And that I'm very sorry for you. My heart goes out to you. I'm so sorry that you didn't get that experience. But onto positive things. And again, I want people to start getting some questions ready. We're going to turn it over questions in a little bit. But what are your? I mean, this district is especially in the last few years has become more and more diverse, and it's also more purple than a lot of people recognize. I mean, I think most people assume that it's still a conservative district, but it's actually now percentage-wise is actually more Democratic, registered Democratic voters. You actually are one of two Republicans who made it through the primary. So essentially, I want to make it real clear to people. It's not like we picked and choose and said, we're only going to have Republicans for this assembly race. There are only Republicans in this assembly race. There's you and Suzette, who are both Republicans. So how do you, since there's going to be many Democrats who are going to be voting for you, that are going, you're going to have to appeal and represent many Democrats. How do you feel you're best suited to represent a purple district and reach across the aisle and work with Democrats and more progressive liberal folks?
Like we know right now, we have 61 Democrat and 18 Republican. And of course, that will be a task that will be a little bit challenging. But for me to be in public service for so long, you know, and I've always been able to cross the aisle, because when I look at a person, I don't look at them as a Republican or Democrat or independent. I try to figure out what would be the best for the person or for our community. And I have a touch, I can touch people. In fact, it's have a better conversation to reach out, to bring really what you believe, because I think it's about, how can I say, liking, I think the liking to direct your ideas to people, and you have to bring this on the table. And I think the people have fears to that. For me, I don't have fears to approach it. If you're a Democrat, I come to you and says, okay, let's sit down, let's have a conversation, let's see what we can do for the people. It's not about me and you right now. The people ask us to represent them, but what can we do better for representing them? And I think this is the lack of communication we're having right now in Sacramento, not to take time to have a better communication each other and to know each other better. And I think I will have that. I will roll my sleeves and I'll be able to talk with them. At least I will stand up and to tell them what we should do for our people, the people, what they need from us. We have to put that first. It's not about me, it's not about us, it's about the people. And we have to implement that. It's conversation for, you know, to reach out on the other aisle. And I think it's possible. I think it's really possible. But it's depend also the character of the person, how you deal with it, how you approach things. And been in public and more than all my life and serving the public, I have this task. I can really, really relate with people. And also I can say I already know people in Sacramento, they are Democrats. Then I'm a very good relationship with them. And I believe I should be able to transpire the idea we can work together.
Well, now we have to really work together because we have a horrible economic situation for our state. Again, the health crisis of COVID is obvious. The psychological, the emotional, and physical damage of COVID is huge. But we're going to have to now get into the, and we're not even out of it yet. But some point when not long after you would be elected, you're going to come up to Sacramento. And you're going to have to deal with the challenges of this pandemic, even the recovery aspects of it. Even though, again, you're inheriting it, I know. Yeah. Unfortunately, this is what you inherit. What do you bring to the table to help the state recover from pandemic when we get to recovery?
Yeah, the way we know all this, we have to focus on our small businesses, what we have left because of COVID. And even before COVID, we had some experience like very difficult to people to hold on to their small businesses because, again, we're coming back with taxes and you know, workers comes and all this regulation, but there is more to it. Right now, we have having a big problem. Of course, I do believe hopefully our government by the state and helping by the federal, we can bring some stimulus to our small business, because if we don't have small businesses, nobody, you know, we have to have the market to make the people work. And we have to focus on them stimulus, small loan, low taxes, whatever we can do, we have to focus on small businesses. And hopefully this time, all the money will go to small businesses, not necessarily the people, big corporation. They can hold on themselves financially, they can do it, and not to take any loans from the government or anything. Hopefully it will be very well calculated. Then we have more focus on small businesses that will very well deserve. And also have a little idea for the restaurant, because the restaurant for so many years, they, you know, they were doing well, and because of COVID, and I was discussing with few different restaurants right now, they have to operate outside sitting. And in the past, they were asking to have outside sitting, that it's a very big hurdle to make it happen, to have a permit, and it's very costly and everything. And I would like to bring this up on the table, that whoever have right now an operation for outside sitting, that will continue in the future and without any cost to them. And at least they will never recuperate the money what they lost, but at least they will, that will be able for them to go further. And with this beautiful sun and this beautiful weather, what if we don't have something to offer to our beautiful customer? Then I'm looking forward to work on that for our small restaurant, you know, to have patio and to look the sunshine and to have a good dinner. This I'm looking forward to work on I think it's a good idea to present that.
Nice idea. You're right. Somehow we came up with a quick remedy for that.
Yes.
Another big part of our economy right now, which we're uncertain of, is what we call the gig economy, and the hurdles that have been placed in front of independent contractors, specifically things like, well, I'm going to ask Mark Kaplan, who asked this question. This is a question that we asked our candidates, and we're going to ask the candidates. We're going to ask the candidates tomorrow too. Mark Kaplan, you're on the air.
Right? And I'm on stage. It's crazy. I got people looking at me. It's insane. I work in post-production, and a lot of my people who work on my projects are independent contractors, and they've been hit tremendously by AB5. And then there's Proposition 22, which deals with a part of it, which I'm not for Proposition 22. I think is a poorly written proposition, personally. But what is your feeling about the whole independent contractor thing? Because it's really affecting what people are able to deduct, et cetera, with the tax codes and everything. Is there a way to repeal it? What are your thoughts on the whole gig economy?
Okay, for me, AB5 from the beginning, I think it was a disaster. This coming from the Supreme Court, they kind of went by the Supreme Court to add it on that the people, they can have some benefits, but the benefits was they were thinking is to receive more taxes from you and to make more money and bring to the state level. And of course, when Gonzalez, she brought with that bill, that was a disaster. I think when you have a good worker, you have good attention, you do everything right, you have your right permits to do. We have enough, our state, to put the nose on our business. We have to stop that. As long as you're a good citizen, you follow the rules, the code, everything what you need to do, they should not put the nose on. If you want to have some benefits, you'll find a job to get some benefits. Then we don't need them to tell us what to do. enough is enough with that. Then I think it was really, really done on the wrong way. It's a disaster for all of us. It doesn't help anybody, even for me. I have a front store. It doesn't help me because as an independent contractor, not working or not having income, it doesn't help me to sell a mattress. You know, everything is like a will. This is a disaster. It has to completely to be dismantled. It has to be dismantled, I do believe, completely to remove it. If it's a concern with Lyft or Uber, then it should be a separate ideal to bring it back, and they should fight and says, okay, we're on the union, then do whatever you have to do, but don't bring everything in like they did that really take away whole livelihood. And so many people I know, they cry, they're losing their homes right now. They don't have a place. Just as a simple guitarist example, he was entertaining people just in the front of a restaurant. He cannot even work right now. You see, someone I know, they have to work from tip, like give a $5 zero. How it's very deplorable what they're doing to us in the state. And I was very disappointed that we don't have too much very loud voices to stand up as the legislative people to stand up for that.
I have a loud voice. So.
For me?
I have a loud voice. So.
I have a loud voice too. You don't want to hear if I talk, I talk. No, and this is what I'm, you know, like it says, I'm going to be maybe a minority in as far as the Republican, but it doesn't stop me to believe what is the right to do for the people. And we have to voice it. And again, I want to dismantle this AB5 definitely. This is my thought.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark Kaplan, for that. Again, people, if you want to ask a question, you can type it to me or chat it to me or just raise your hand. We're going to take, we'll take a couple more questions too. Or, you know, again, we want you to have this chance to talk with Lucie and to get her take on this. I asked Kip this question yesterday, and even though he's running for the Senate, it does impact the Senate. It impacts our state. But one of the interesting things that came out of the Assembly lately, which would be your home, is the Assembly Bill 331, which was the ethnic studies proposal, which for the Jewish community ended up causing a lot of anguish and a lot of fear because of the way Israel was going to be taught in the schools, and as well as the way the Jewish community was going to be represented in that curriculum. And again, the governor came in at the last minute and vetoed it, thankfully, but it definitely is disconcerting that there's a lack of knowledge about this amongst even the Jewish community. But the Jewish community was very upset about the Assembly Bill. The organized leadership and organizations spoke out against it. But what's your take on AB 331 or follow-up legislation or attempts to try to deal with that?
But we all know it's a big problem, or in our college or even university, that the Jewish community, it's not accepted as well, like the ethic. You know, there is a lot of anti-Semitism, and it's all depend, I think, how it will be teach. But there is too much adversity against the Jewish community. And I think it's a big problem that if it really they want to implement, how they will implement that, how they will teach it on the purpose of the good way or the bad way. You know what I'm saying? We have to look at it all the time. If you want to learn about the culture, about as an individual, like any ethic, African American and everything. It can be, anybody. You have to be taught in a positive way as the culture, but not as taking as a way as to be anti-Semitism for what they have an objective right now at the school. What everything at the college they teach you, it's about take away your belief, take away who you are. And it's a very dangerous slope in a sense if you don't do the right way. And I'm glad he kind of Newsom veto it, because I don't think they have the right way to teach anything on the right way right now. They have no intention for the good for the Jewish community. This is what I'm thinking.
And let me ask you a question. Are you planning on joining the if elected, would you be joining the Jewish caucus in the assembly, or in the legislative? The state legislature has a joint Jewish caucus.
You might find this weird what I'm going to answer to you right now. Been in business, I used to belong almost like 8 chambers of commerce. Then for me, my knowledge is, that will be very important for me. Of course I will, because this is all about the knowledge to be participating and to make it grow for the great and for the good for the community, and especially the Jewish community, because it's very close to my heart. And definitely, yes, I will.
Yeah, and I don't know how many Republicans are part of the Jewish caucus right now. It's always been a smaller representation, and actually the number of Jews in the in the state legislature has gone down considerably in my lifetime. There always used to be 10, 15, and now it's a handful. And actually there's, half or a third of the people who are part of the Jewish caucus are not even Jewish, which, I mean, it's nice that they're in the caucus, but the whole purpose was for Jewish representatives across the state to kind of get together and work on issues that were of concern to the California Jewish community. And so it still exists, but it's a fraction of what it used to be in size. So we definitely would like to see that, regardless of party or party affiliation. We'd like to see the legislative, the Jewish caucus, you continue to thrive or maybe grow even, would be great.
Well, let me tell you, anything is good for me, for the people, I'm going to be there. That's who I am. I'm going to take the time to look at it. It says what would be good and profitable for our community. Then definitely I will be in a Jewish caucus. If there is another caucus that can be good for another type of community, I'm going to be there. I think we need to build that. We need to bring the way to connect together, to have a better sense of living and good communication between all of us. And I'm looking forward to be part of it, definitely.
Excellent. One of the things that we know in California, and I hope people know, is that a lot of our educational policy comes out of the state. A lot of it is actually generated in Sacramento. Very little of it, actually, very little of the funding and very little of the direction comes from Washington. Most of it comes from, unfortunately, I would say, comes from the state. Very little of it's controlled at the local level. The budget, the student dollars, a lot of obviously the statewide curricula is established at the state level and are for our public schools. Obviously, we have tremendous challenges facing us with COVID and the recovery. But how will you approach educational policy at the state level? With all the other challenges, how do we help protect our students?
Well, first of all, I would like to bring this. I know with COVID, it's a little bit difficult right now. School choice is number one. I think the parents know best for the child where the child will be able to go. And also, I do believe the vouchers it's about $17,000 per child, should follow the child wherever you want to go. And again, our children, they are deprived of the right to learn a good curriculum. What they're teaching to our children right now, we all know. The indoctrinations, it's a very the teacher has, they are against that. A lot of teachers, they are against that. They don't talk about it, but it's a big distraction for the future for our children. That's why if we do a school choice, that would be great. And the social skills is we are losing that with our children. Hopefully things, the kids can go back to school very shortly, because the kids, they need a social skill to learn. And they have to bring the basic, you know, the math, the history, the how this is lacking. They take more time to teach sex ed and what it would be the future to become a man or a woman as a young age, instead to really develop the child to be a better citizen for the future and successful. I want to work really, that would be my passion, to be, like I said, school choice for a better way for our children, and leave the parents also the right to do what they want to do with the child, not the state or city level or state level. You know, it's about the parents who take care of the kids, not them.
One of the things that a lot affects our community in particular, and we actually have a few people on the line who are right now looking at our friends who are here. We have quite a few people that are in the entertainment business that are on right now. How do we protect the entertainment business in California? How do we help that segment? It's one of the few segments that we still have in our Southern California area that hasn't departed, and it is, unfortunately, more and more of it is departing this area. But how do we keep it? How do we help the entertainment business, that industry, thrive and grow and succeed, especially, again, coming out of a time right now where they haven't even been able to work for the most part?
Well, basically, of course, I know the COVID has been a situation, but it's more than that. Again, we're coming back to the AB5, because a lot of the entertainment business, they were independent contractor. And this is what is affecting the most. But we all know, like, if you want a motion picture, if you want to do a movie or things like that, it's a little bit more crucial, more difficult, because there is a lot part to move around that. And I think that will take a little while. But there is so many other entertainment that can be done. But again, it's coming back to AB5. And because of that, the limitation, it doesn't help them. We have to come back to AB5 and dismantle that. I hope, like the yes goes for the, I think it's 19. But I don't know how they can survive. I hope COVID will stop very shortly, and everybody can go, and the big band, they can go play, and the people can go and jump and dance with them and everything. But right now, like I said, I don't really have a big answers for that.
What about though the film industry? I mean, what about
like that's what the film industry, like with this situation, you know, the distancing and everything, like they ask, and the mask and things, how can you make really to do a movie, you know, with all these CDC guidance, and until they, with COVID, until they says, hey, we are clear, we can do whatever we want. How can you make a movie really? You know, because you are so close to each other. How can you, I would love to have an answer for that, but how can you do a movie with all the masks? You know, I don't know.
But let's say when we don't have that challenge, what about incentives and ways to keep the industry here, the film jobs, television jobs here in California?
Oh my God, yes. I know that in the past when they were looking, you know, a big tax cut, you know, really almost like taxes, it's a big thing, I know, for the motion pictures. Then really, the state, they will have to work with them, and they could get some incentive also. I think anybody has the right to have any incentive, because the situation, it was not normal. It was coming from COVID. And of course, AB5 been affected by that, but COVID, it was a big play to it. Then I think anybody who they were like very steady and doing great business, I think anybody should have the possibility to have a stimulus, been helped. I don't think you should have anyone should be discriminated not to be helped. I think we need tax incentives, small loan, whatever they will need. The state should be behind them and helping them also.
Well, Mark, I think you have something.
Yeah, I mean, as I was just reading an article about a number of shows that we're doing, that they're starting.
We're losing you a little bit, Mark. We lost.
Are you losing me?
Yeah.
Can you hear?
Yeah.
Me?
No, we didn't.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So there are incentives to keep. I want to say, what's the best way to put this? To keep a certain amount of production within the state. When I see that list come out every year, my first instinct is these are the wrong shows to be getting the tax incentives, because they would be shooting here anyway. And why, and how can the state, because we do lose a lot of jobs to Canada, to Atlanta now, an extraordinary amount. Louisiana's kind of died down a bit, so the Carolinas. But Atlanta has become a huge hub. Albuquerque has become a huge hub for Netflix. That business isn't going to come back here, but there is so much business to be had here that much more attractive incentives, I think, need to be done in order for productions to stay in the LA basin within the 30-mile area.
But like you all know, nothing is friendly in California. Everything is a hurdle. Nothing they do, nothing for helping you to grow the business.
So you're going to make it friendly then? I
want to make it friendly. Yeah, this is how it should be.
Right.
If you bring more business here, the wheel will turn. That will bring some other business in a better way. That will grow the economy. Right. They go backward. I think the people here in California, the way that they're thinking backward. If you invest more money here, then you will have more spending, and you will have a better economy. They stop the economy. They do everything to stop the economy. They are not friendly. They are not friendly for anything. I don't know what they want from us. They really want to come to a third country. This is what I feel like, it's terrible the way they treat us in California.
And I know it's been a lot in the news about, like Jeff Bezos everyone not paying taxes. But, California is home to Google, is home to Apple, is home to Facebook, is home to Netflix. Just those 4 companies alone, if they paid their fair share of, and I don't know if they do or don't, quite honestly, California state taxes, would be a boon for an incentive. Is that the incentive for the big guns of companies? I mean, Disney, etc. I mean, we could go. The list is quite enormous, and companies that we would have never thought of Amazon or Google or Apple being in the entertainment business 10, 15 years ago, and they are now. So, and those companies seem to be getting an advantage that is not trickling down. So how would you, as being in the assembly, help the trickle down economics to help, like my employees who haven't been working for 6 months right now, and their unemployment's like, one moved to Vegas, another here, and I mean, they're all just trying to survive right now.
But this is like a conversation, and this is the way I see it. They have the power. If it doesn't work here, we're going somewhere else.
Correct. How do you change that though?
This is what they do. Then if they go somewhere else, they take away the job for people. And now again, we're going in a backward situation. Mm-hmm. I know it's a very difficult not to have a right balance. It's like in Simi Valley, I think it's a farmer insurance. They have a beautiful building there. They resided in, many people were working there. They want to have a tax incentive. The city said, no. You know what happened? They shut down. and they moved to Thousand Oaks or something else. What happened to the people? Some people follow, some people didn't follow. Now they're destroying the building. Now there's something else they're going to have there, and they are not happy about that. They regret. Then that's what I'm saying. It's a very challenging slope, because you remember in New York when they want to put Amazon, I believe it was Amazon, and they refused it. How many jobs that will bring there? And she said no. Then we have to work on it. We have to bring something and work with the legislative and see what can we do and bring some things from them to help us in California. But again, people are afraid. They are in bed with them. What is it? We don't know that. I don't know everything, what's happening behind the doors. But again, it's about conversation. What can we do to bring some more to help California to be, to hold on and to have a better life? I'm sure they are ready to help, but on which extent, it's a conversations. And of course, for me to just talk to you, the time I'm going to be in Sacramento, I'm going to have a little bit more power to talk to these people. Then for sure, I'm going to take the time to talk with them and talk with the legislative, say, hey, what can we do? And of course, it's always conversations and something to put on the table and make it happen. But I will work on that. I will really, really work on that.
Thank you.
I just like the way you say Sacramento. It's a very, very classy way of saying Sacramento. We actually had a follow-up question about education and about the vouchers. And I wanted to, it's a good question. And I wanted to have, I'm not sure who at the Levine House asked this question, but Daniel, do you want to share your question with Lucie Volotzky?
Sure. I also came up with another question on the taxes afterwards.
Well, no, do the taxes first, since that was what she was just talking about.
Yeah. I think everyone knows that California is a high tax state. That's not a secret. We hear a lot, particularly from the Republican side, about cutting taxes, but it's not that simple, because those taxes pay for a lot of things.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, without getting into the insane detail of a particular bill or a bill number, what are your priorities to preserve, and where would you cut to pay for the tax cuts that you want to implement?
There is let me tell you that there is a lot of spending. It's not done right. They're spending money. We have to find the money where they're spending. They're wasting money. The waste of money, like the train to nowhere, they can do so much money with that. They can do so many things with that. Then cutting taxes, I know we want to cut tax, bring job. Bring job, generate more taxes. This is the key also. It's not just to cut, it's to bring job in. We need to be friendly bringing jobs. Everything in manufacturing, they're moving out. How can we to replace these taxes, what we had before? We need to bring back our job to generate more taxes. It's not just to cut tax, like you said, we cut tax, we help to pay things. But if we have more people here and working on the process and everything, we will get more taxes. It's a will. It's all.
Well, I think we've seen, just to challenge that for a moment, I mean, we've seen tax cuts help things like the stock market. They help things like corporate bottom lines. It doesn't necessarily feed to more employment or higher wages all the time. So there are still decisions that need to be made. And so inside the budget, the train to nowhere is a debacle. I think pretty much everyone agrees on that, but that was a proposition. Yes. So it's a different situation. What that's in the control of the assembly in the development of the budget would you prioritize, and what would you de-emphasize in order to pay for the tax cuts that you want to make to support small businesses and other businesses?
Yeah, let me think about this one. What could I cut? What can we cut? Right now, I cannot answer really that question. You know, I cannot answer that question. What I'm getting there, look the budget, that would be the best and to present to me. And I could come back to you and give you the answer when I be in Sacramento. But right now I cannot answer that question, you know, like that.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm so sorry.
No, that's fair. That's okay.
Why don't you ask your other question? You want to ask education?
So I had a follow-up question on the educational piece, because you mentioned vouchers and state money following the students. And we've heard a lot about that over time too. And I'm not rabidly against school choice, but when you mentioned that private schools should be included, that opens up a world of potential difficulties. For instance, how would you ensure in a voucher program that money would not be funneled to schools that are not teaching, you know, an appropriate curriculum? And just as to use the FAR example, just as an object, a school that doesn't teach any science, but only teaches creationism and is steeped only in some religious teaching.
Okay.
Or it could be a racist
or a racist
ideology.
Race ideology. Thank you, Rabbi.
Oh, well, I'm happy. I think it just came pop up in my head. At that point, it should be, schools should apply who you know, have different school to apply the possibility where the child can go, but as long it's on a proper education, as long the proper education and prove it that that school will provide the certain curriculum and it work for the child, for the future, for the good citizen, and to grow and to be successful. It should be a kind of pick and choose, but it has to have certain criteria the school will have to provide before the child can go there with that voucher. This is the way I see it right now.
So just to clarify, so are you saying something along the lines of a school would have to be accredited by the Department of Education in Sacramento or something of that nature?
Yeah, they will have to prove they will have accredited certain criteria we want to be taught for the child. Otherwise, that will not be able, the child will not be able to go to that school with that voucher. They can go, but they will not provide the money to go and follow the child. It should be accredited. Doesn't matter if it's a charter school, a private school, or whatever they want to do, as long it's follow the criteria for the getting good teaching, the perfect teaching.
Thanks. Thank you, guys. Great questions. And that was, again, a very hot button issue over the years here on school choice here in Santa Clarita. It was oftentimes one of the fault lines within our community, in our own backyard, in my own home. No, not my own home. But it was something very close to our hearts over the years. So you talked a little bit about some of what you'd like to see happen, and we have time for maybe another question or two. But I just to kind of to say, if we didn't have COVID, which we didn't when you announced your candidacy, and I guess you even made it through the primary before COVID started, right? So you were already a candidate before this hit. So so you'd already passed through the primary. What were your three priorities, if you could say? No, I mean, you could have more, but what were three priorities that you would have said, I don't have COVID to deal with, so take that off the table.
Yes.
I'm going to Sacramento. What's my agenda? What's Lucie's agenda when she comes into Sacramento and sits down at that table on day one?
Well, of course, small businesses, it was very close to my heart myself to be a small business, and seeing so many people suffering because, like I said again, with the minimum wage, we want everybody have very success life, but the minimum wage kill more job than anything else, and instead to focus on something else. And school, again, I didn't like the direction where the schools they are going and what they were teaching for the children, and especially when they sex ed. And I said, what is this? Is the kids really need that from kindergarten? We need, like, ethic to learn, for the future of the children. They need math and English to learn the English, to write, and they focus on something else. It's not really important at a young age, and it's about a worse start for the child, the way they want to educate the children. And also our men and women, for many years, I saw it, so many friends of mine, they are officers, and crying on my shoulder, they said, we cannot do anything. They're protecting the criminal. They have to protect the criminal, and the good citizen, they pay for the criminal. And we have to have our men and women on the force to protect us continue, and the state and the city take away as a good right citizen. And we have to bring the respect for our men and women. That was the most three important things I was thinking: education, small business, and of course our men and women, because without them, we don't have a city, a state, or country. We need them.
Interesting. So any other things to wrap up, folks? We're going to let people say goodnight in a moment. Again, we're very grateful that you came out. We know we have, there's important business to attend to. As soon as everybody leaves, I hope you go and root for the Dodgers right now. You need to go out, and it's the game just started. So the Dodgers need our support and love. Can't have another horrible loss at the end. But again, are there any other questions or any other things that people want to ask Lucie before she goes? Anybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello? Yeah.
Yes.
So I have a question about something that happened over the last couple of years. So very quickly, our daughter, when she was 6 years old, she got a flu shot, and it triggered the onset for her of an autoimmune condition, which became very, very serious. And over the course of many years, first we were able to, we're not anti-vaccine, but initially she couldn't get all the vaccines she needed. We were afraid that it might make her condition worse. We wanted to spread them out, and our doctor was very good about this. And then it became that now you needed a medical exemption, and he wrote us the medical exemptions that we needed. But then what happened was they started going after certain, not our doctor, but certain doctors. They said, you're writing too many exemptions, and they basically frightened the doctors into not being able to write valid medical exemptions. For example, at one point she was immunocompromised, and we couldn't get the live vaccines for our other children because she was susceptible. So I'm just kind of worried that right now the legislature seems very focused on, like, we don't want any doctors to write any exemptions for any reason unless the vaccine kills a child. It seems like it's gotten very, very strict. I'm just curious, especially now with COVID and everything like that, they might add more requirements on. What is your take on the current vaccine requirements?
Yeah, the parent, it's your right to refuse or have it. And I don't think they should. And again, it's another things to take away your rights. I do believe it's your right to decide for your child. I think you are mature enough. I know you love your child. You care about your child. You will not do anything to hurt your child. And if you think it's a need, I think you will go for it. If you think it's not a need, I have a friend of mine. Her children never have any vaccine, and they're doing very well. But again, I think it's personal. I think, and especially COVID, we don't know enough yet. I'm a very, I don't know. It's up to you. I think it's your personal rights to decide yes or not. This is my thinking.
So you never know when you get into the forum what you're going to get. But Lucie, you handled yourself admirably. You were in the Sukkah of spin. We're going to call it the no spin Sukkah, whatever you're going to say. But this is meant to be a friendly environment. And again, I thank you for being willing and open to do this. I'm going to start speaking with a French accent, right? I'm going to start singing like Celine Dion in a moment. No, you don't want that to happen. But anyway,
may I tell you something before you leave? You let me go?
Yeah, of course, Lucy.
Okay, I want to tell people I'm not a politician. It's my first time I'm running for office. And I do that with a good heart. I want to go there for you, for us. We are in a bad shape. And with my life experience, I'm 65 years old. I've been through a lot, and I'm positive what I've been through because it's life experience, and I'm happy who I am. And what I have and what I learned, this is what I want to bring in Sacramento, because today this is what we are lacking life experience. People go there, they are already like dictated what to do or not to do and things like that. But for me, I'm going there with a clear head. Nobody's behind my campaign. I didn't sponsor by the GOP or anybody. I don't owe anything to anybody. When I'm going to stand there in Sacramento, it would be for all of us that I want to listen to you. Do I have all the answers? No. But do I want to learn the answers? Yes. I'm going to be, I will need you. If I don't know, I will ask. This is what we all do. You know, this is how the intelligent way to do. Then whatever I'm going to make a decision, it will be about us because we will do the right thing for us. Not anymore for Sacramento, the lobbyists and things like that. I will never change. I have 4 beautiful children. And the name I carry, Volotzky, it's very important for me that my kids remember that. Then I want to let you know I'm going there with a good faith, with value and integrity and truth. Then I will never go away what I believe. I just want to let you know that it's very important for me.
Thank you, Lucy. Thank you. And thank you everybody for being here on a lot of other things to do. But please, again, this is why we're doing this, so that you, when you see these names on the ballot, that you can put a face and more importantly, like words to that name. And that's why we're doing this here. It's been very hard to get information and discussion this year, even more so. We would have had Lucy at our synagogue. She made a great effort to come out for Purim back in February or March. So I salute you for doing that, Lucy. And again, tomorrow night, you can come back at 6 o'clock to see Suzette. We're actually going to start at about 6:10 so that you can get your video, your VCR, your DVR, whatever, ready for the vice presidential campaign debate. But again, not that that's not important, but this is going to set the policy for our district. And again, it's your voice. Lucy or Suzette will be your voice in Sacramento, and it's very important. Again, so much, Lucy, thank you for being here and for spending some time with us. Chag Sameach. Wish your husband and the family there Chag Sameach and Sukkot. And next year, you can come to our Sukkah, or we'll build a Sukkah for you in Sacramento.
Fantastic. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank
you, everybody.